Okay, in the first part, we have seen some early introduction to XP. Now we're going to look at the phases in XP. So it starts with XP planning stage, where it begins with the creation of user stories. So Agile team members assesses each story and assigns a cost. So these stories are grouped to be prioritized for a deliverable increment, because maybe there are many or hundreds of user stories which you are not able to implement everything, and that's not your aim, right? Your aim is to produce increments, so you have to choose and prioritize which one to be implemented first. So that is called deliverable increment. So a commitment is made on a delivery date and how fast you are able to produce it. After the first increment, project velocity is used to help to define subsequent delivery dates for other increments. For the next increment, how long you're going to spend, and which user stories will be implemented. So the next stage is XP design. So they follow the KISS principles that we have seen in the previous chapter 1. They encourage the use of CRC cards. Okay, we will see an example of CRC card in the following slide. For difficult design problems, they will suggest the creation of spike solutions. That means they will provide a prototype. And they also encourage refactoring. That means you can change the structure or you can further refine it later. The next stage is XP coding. So this is where the developers write the code, and they will construct a unit test for all the code that has been implemented. So they while doing coding, extreme programming encourages pair programming, where programming is done with a partner, and one will be the observer and one will be the programmer. Okay, and they will exchange the role at certain point. And the last stage is testing. So all unit tests are executed daily. The test that has been prepared will be executed daily. Remember that there will be many types of testing, not only unit tests. Okay, and they will also execute acceptance tests, which will be run by the customer, and customer will assess whether they agree with the increment outcome or not. So this is an example of CRC card. So CRC stands for Class Responsibilities Collaborators card. So what is this card for? So when they try to understand the role of each entity, so they will have like a card, okay, and the card has this information, the class name, the responsibility, and the collaboration, or all collaborators. That means in this example, the class name is sales, and the responsibility of this class is for knowledge, behavior, operation, and promotion, and it collaborate with partner and also client. So same goes to the rest of the cards. So this one element is called a card, and the card is actually called Class Responsibilities Collaborators. CRC card is not only being used in Agile, it is also well known in other process models too. So in a day-to-day life of an XP team can be visualized in this figure. Okay, so the code that they write is written with a pair, within second, and they develop the unit test, they negotiate, okay, and they have stand-up meeting. So you will see these features of stand-up meeting in Scrum later. So each day they will have stand-up meeting, and few days they will have to get acceptance tests for the stakeholder to sign off, and then they will move on to the next iteration, and in a few months they will release the software. So this is done in many repetitions, perhaps for different increments. The following Agile-based software process model is Industrial XP. So Industrial XP is more towards managing the project, and also more focuses on I would say umbrella activities, okay? Like readiness assessment, project community, project chartering, test driven, retrospective, and continuous learning. So if you can see all the phases that are described, they are not described in the perspective of process flow. So if you look at this, you don't know which one will be executed first. So it is not a good it is not sufficient for us to follow as a roadmap. Okay. The next one is Scrum. Scrum is also quite popular, and it was proposed by Schwaber and Biddle, and some of the distinguishing features are they have certain terms that they call, for example, they call packets, okay, which represent the development work, and they have testing and documentation which will be ongoing throughout the development process, and they have this term called sprints, okay, which is derived from a backlog of existing requirements. We will see these terms in a figure in the next slide. And they restrict meetings to short time and sometimes conducted without chairs, meaning that stand-up meetings, similar like the one we have heard in the extreme programming just now, and where everyone will stand up and provide certain information. And they call demos, which are the increments that will be delivered to the customer within the time frame. So we have the terms backlog, sprint, the meetings, and the demos. So backlog is a prioritized list of project requirements or features that provide values to the customers. And sprint are the requirements that will be developed in the cycle, the next cycle, or the next iteration. In the Scrum meeting, which is recommended to be short, where everyone has to stand up, okay, so what do they report? So there are 3 questions. Everyone will report on this. What did you do since the last meeting? Okay, and remember that this meeting should be done every day. Okay, so what did you do since the last meeting, which means yesterday? What obstacles that you encounter? What challenges that you encounter? And then the third one, what do you plan to accomplish by the next meeting? That means today, before the next meeting, right? And demos are actually software increments that are produced in the end of each sprint. So you can also look for additional videos on Introduction to Scrum, where I already included the links in that link. Okay. So this is the process model representation for Scrum. So these are the visualization for backlog. That means each one of these is the user story. Okay, so they might be piled, maybe thousands, maybe hundreds. So in order for the development team to develop increments, they have to know which one to be developed first. So they pick a few and they combine it in and they call it as a sprint. Okay, so each sprint backlog will contain whether they will decide whether it should be completed every how long should it be, 30 days and so on, and for every day they will have to provide the daily meeting, the stand-up meeting, where they have to answer this question. Okay, and after they finish the iterations, then they will produce the increment. Okay, and then they will move back to the product backlog and take the next product, the user stories to be implemented in the next sprint. Okay, so this is the video that I will share the link in iTagging. Okay, so make sure that you watch this too to enhance your knowledge on Scrum. Okay. The fourth one is the SDM, so Dynamic System Development Method. So the SDM, let's see from the figure. Okay, so it starts with feasibility study and business study. So that means that you will have to study first whether the project is doable or not in terms of your technical skill, resources, time, budget, and so on. So you have 3 types of iterations. The first one is functional model. Then after you finish, you produce the prototype, start to design, and you iterate until the design is refined, and then finally you implement. Okay? So that is basically the idea of the SDM. Okay? So this is also a video on the SDM. Okay? Agile modeling. Agile modeling is not really a process model because it focuses more on modeling only. Okay, so the representation is more general, but the description is more about modeling part. Okay, so they also have the idea of having next iteration and also iteration. Okay, and finally, the Agile Unified Process. So we have seen the unified process before this in the previous chapter. So basically, Agile combined with unified process to have this series of iterations, okay, and effort required for each phases, okay, and the idea is that when you start business modeling, you also put effort on other phases as well. So you have the elements of parallel iteration, okay, in the process model. Okay, so basically we have seen the manifesto, the Agile process, the principles, okay, some of the Agile-based process models. Actually, there are many more Agile-based process models, which you can also use it for the exercise too. Example, okay, of process model. Okay. But what I want to highlight is that Agile-based process model recommends self-organizing teams that have control over their work. They value communication and collaboration between team members. Okay, and they handle changes effectively, and they produce increments in a more rapid manner. Okay, and my final reminder for your group assignment later on, your group project, that you are not allowed to use Agile-based process model because it's not suitable for your level. Okay, so the references I've also added into iTagging. Please feel free to have a look at these videos. Okay, Assalamualaikum and thank you.